Hello and welcome to Fault Lines. I'm your host Shahzad RAZA. The US government has suspended the operation of US aid across the globe. And in Pakistan, there are several projects, in total 39 projects being funded by US aid agency, and the total volume or the funding the US government pouring into these projects is $845 million. So these projects will not be implemented in near future. I don't know, or nobody knows that what is going to be the future of US aid in future, but President Trump has issued the executive order, and some of his close associates and advisors like Elon Musk, they are naming USAID as terming USAID as a criminal organization. I mean, these are the statements which we have been hearing since the Trump administration took over the White House. So the suspension of aid and what is how it is going to impact these projects in Pakistan, and what are the alternatives, since we are of course a respectable nation, of course we are economically weak, but we wish that we would not be relying upon the aids by any foreign country. But how it is going to impact these projects, and what it is going to do with the so-called American influence all across the globe. But these projects are considered that not only American people or the American government, they are helping these countries, the developing countries, but at the same time they are also exerting pressure on these countries through these development projects. I mean, these are the opinions expressed in the past by several individuals. And since there is a new administration in Washington DC, what will be the future of the relationship between Pakistan and the United States of America? We know we have seen several ups and downs in the relationships between the two countries, and we help each other on need basis. But now the President Trump has won the election. We have to see that how he is going to address all the issues, especially in Middle East, in South Asia, and especially countering China. These are some of the key issues we are going to discuss in this program. And in the studio we have Dr. Ayesha Bhatti. She's an IR expert. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayesha, for joining us. We have NEHA TAUSEEF. She's a lawyer and human rights activist. Thank you so much, NEHA TAUSEEF, for joining us as well. Very soon we'll have ANWAR IQBAL, senior journalist from Washington DC as well. Dr. Ayesha Bhatti, first of all, why President Trump or his team felt the need to suspend all the operations of the USAID? Because in total, last year, if I'm not wrong, that in 2023, the USAID global funding was $43 billion. I mean, for America, this is not a very big amount or something impossible that they really cannot, separate or allocate from their annual budget. So why they felt the need to suspend this important program?
Thank you, Shahzad. It's indeed a very interesting question. But we should understand one thing, and that is that this executive order is not in isolation. There are multiple executive orders recently being approved by Trump, and Mr. Trump had made sure that all these, through these all executive orders, there should be less involvement of American government in outside of America, like it's a withdrawal from the Paris Accord, it's sanctions on the ICC, and then it's withdrawal from the WHO, along with this USAID sanction. So all these sanctions, basically, it is basically projecting the Trump's policies and how Trump is going to go into future and looking after America only, and trying to make America less and less available for the international community.
And look at what. I mean, if he is trying to take over Gaza, I mean, this is American involvement and stark involvement in international and affairs outside America. So at one hand, they are trying to occupy. I'll say you use the word occupy Gaza, and on the other hand, they are suspending the humanitarian aid. In the developing countries.
That's how we call that hypocrisy, because when they suspended the funding for WHO, they made sure that Israel and Egypt is going to be exceptional for that. And for them, the aid is still the same, but for the rest of the community, for the rest of states, WHO, for the WHO, they are not going to provide the aid. So here we can see the hypocrisy. But there is another thing that once the Trump started his election campaign, and even after coming in the office, he was time and again saying that I'm going to make America great again by its isolationist policies. And that is what it's trying to make sure. There is another thing you were talking about, Elon Musk and then Marco Rubio, and both of his closest, I would say, the advisors and the Secretary of the State, they are saying that this is a charity we cannot afford. But this is not the charity. Indeed, I would say that we look into the history. So America gained lot through US aid instead of the other states.
Okay. Anwar Iqbal, senior journalist from Washington, D.C. has also joined us. Thank you very much, Anwar Iqbal, for joining us. I'll come to you after talking to Neha TAUSEEF. Neha TAUSEEF, what do you think that how they are going to impact negatively as far as Pakistan is concerned?
First of all, we have to, I think, look at the fact that it is just an executive order right now. And when you look at USAID, it was established through an act of Congress. So an executive order cannot be implemented unless you are actually changing the law. So this law needs to be changed by the Congress in order for Trump to take any action against it.
And that's why, and that was the plea the two unions took when they took that case to a U.S. court.
Yeah, that was when
restraining order was passed for 1 week.
Yeah, that is when he suspended. He actually put these workers on leave, on paid leave, and then they went to the court, and that is what they pleaded as well over there, that this is an act of parliament and an executive order. This is an illegal executive order, and they cannot take such an action because it is there in the law right now.
Yeah, but there are ifs and buts involved, but across the globe, including Pakistan, the staffers working in the USAID offices, they were asked not to come to the offices. The offices
Yeah,
were
even
closed.
after the restraining order was passed, a lot of workers could still not work. A lot of countries are getting in touch with the USAID's offices in Washington, D.C., and they're getting no reply from there as well.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the nature of the plea or the case, I mean, which they are going to fight is for the protection of the employees of the USAID. Not the grant being offered to the developing countries by the US government.
Yes, but this is only in relation to the lawsuit which was passed for the protection of the workers working for the USAID. But I think in future, if anything else happens, there would be more lawsuits. There would be challenges in court, and they are pretty strong cases and very easy to fight because this is an unconstitutional act.
What normally happens to the program being funded by any such grant if the funding is choked? What happens to them? Like they are gone?
That depends on the nature of the program, right? Right now we are looking
39 programs, including health supply chain, scholarship. There are programs on democracy, improvement of governance in FATA, like private investment initiative, 43 million, Mangala Dam rehabilitation, a lot of programs. So, from in future, like these programs, are they at risk or they are like nowhere to be seen in future?
So when you look at the Trump's administration, they want to still support the programs which are good for the country and their national security. He wants to put a stop to all the other programs which are not actually in line with the agenda that he has for the country. So I think not all the programs would be stopped, only a few programs, actually most of the programs would be stopped, but not all.
Not all. Okay. Anwar Iqbal Sahab, can you hear me, sir? Anwar Iqbal Sahab, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Sir, this decision by President Trump, shutting down the operations, the global operation of USAID, some people say that this is just a decision to appease his supporters, his support base, so-called the white supremacists in America. So is it so, or there is another reason or wisdom behind this decision?
See, what we are doing is, in interpreting this order, we tend to forget the statement that accompanied the order. Okay, the Trump administration, or rather President Trump himself, was very clear that he was not. Actually, they do not plan to end U.S. assistance to other countries or to projects outside the United States. What they want is very obvious. they want to tie this assistance to U.S. interests in every region. And they're already working on a list of things that they want done in return for this assistance. So they will decide, for instance, in Pakistan, how would they want to see Pakistan's relations with China? How would they want Pakistan to approach the economic assistance that Pakistan receives from China? Pakistan's relations with Iran, U.S. interest in Iran, and how would they want Pakistan to play? What role would they want Pakistan to play in this promoting U.S. interest in Iran? The problems of terrorism in Afghanistan, the ISSK and other groups, Pakistan relations with India. Obviously, they want to use India as a counterweight to China, and they want Pakistan to recalibrate its own approach towards India. So, and this applies to every region across the world. So it is not that the Trump administration had decided to do away with U.S. assistance for all. Not at all. Far from it. They do want to continue this assistance, this aid, but they want to do it on their own terms.
What President Trump or his administration believe that there is no free lunch, right?
I think every administration, every country, I mean, there is no morality in international relations. It's not about hypocrisy. It's not about honesty. It's all about
morality. But when you go through the history of USAID, that why and how it was established by President John F. Kennedy in 1961, that is to curtail the influence of Soviet Union in the developing countries. So now the China has probably taken place of the Soviet Union, and the kind of a trade war or other war being fought between the United States of America and China. So you think that by suspending US aid, who is going to fill the void? The countries like China?
Hold on. It's good that you refer to what Kennedy explained or what the previous U.S. administrations have been doing. The U.S. assistance was always about promoting U.S. interest, right, in the world. And that's what he wants to do. But he has, of course, a different view or a different approach to these interests. And he has this so-called slogan of "Make America Great Again." He wants to work on that. He is the first U.S. president who successfully involved a particular segment of the U.S. population that never participated in politics. They didn't even used to vote. The wide working class, and they have, if you travel across America in the rural areas, you will see that there are people who believe that the United Nations is a conspiracy against America, that America should kick out all the colored people, and all those kind of things. That is his support base, so he wants to please.
Sir, I agree with you. Sir, I completely agree with you, but there is a method to the madness. I mean, if you are going to suspend or kill any program, you give some time to the people, to the program. I mean, of course, you can do it legally by just one stroke of pen, although NEHA TAUSEEF has a different point of view that it was established through an act of parliament, so executive order cannot really suspend the program. That is another debate. But my question is that, fine, but there are a lot of good and humanitarian work being done by these programs all across the globe. What about these programs, and what is the American people's opinion about this?
That's what I am saying. I am saying that he is not going to end this assistance at all. He is going to resume the assistance, but what he is doing, or what the Trump administration, not alone the Trump administration, or the group of people who are in power now, they are doing, is to redefine U.S. interests and then attach the U.S. aid to those interests. That's what they are doing. They're not going to stop anything. They just want to reinterpret what they want from this system.
That is very interesting. So they are going to attach or make it conditional. If you are, if you are serving the American interest, then you are entitled for the grant. Otherwise, go somewhere else.
But don't you think that they were actually already doing this? Because there were so many strings attached with all of these conditions, or all of these aids they were providing since 1961 to the states, more than 100 states. They were providing the humanitarian assistance through the USAID, and along with that, they were promoting the liberal world order.
That is fine,
yes.
but of course, but we have to admit that although we are not having ideal relationship with the United States at the moment, but still last year they spent 800 I mean the total volume of the program, the projects, 39 projects, is more than $800 million. So let's be honest about it, that although we don't have good relations, but still we are getting the money.
It's Pakistan and America, they are having a kind of complex relationship. Although yes, you are right that all this funding, this was basically being provided to so many human rights violations they were going to cater, and that so many energy, education, and then counter-terrorism. There were projects being taken care of under the USAID, and they are going to be affected. But as far as every problem comes with, there is a something called as blessing in disguise. Probably now is the time that Pakistan should take care of itself instead of looking for any foreign support. Pakistan should be looking for its own interest individually, without any support from any external power that is going to come to you with the strings attached. Always remember, they always have the hidden agendas. They were looking, there were 3 liberal agendas. They were trying to make sure that every state who is taking US aid or any other US assistance, there should be democracy, there should be human rights protection, there should be a capitalist ideology, and that's the reason they were countering Russia as well. Yes,
democracy, of course, we believe in democracy. Human rights, of course, we believe that we are the champion of human rights.
Capitalist society, yes.
The implementing the capitalist ideology, this is something which we can debate on.
Yes. So it's a kind of, it's the high time for Pakistan to look after its interest instead of looking towards anybody else. And as far as China is concerned, I mean, China hasn't got any alternative to the capitalism or democracy to offer us. And do you think that China only for the humanitarian assistance is going to help us? I don't think so, because it's again about just like.
So you think that the void, it's not going to be filled?
It's really difficult. It's really difficult. Keeping in the mind that China is struggling at his home. Why? Because America is putting the blanket tariffs on China, and China is having the difficulty in Panama as well, because Panama is one of the CPEC's route, and China has got so many troubles at home, and it's difficult for China to provide the free lunch to Pakistan.
That's fine, but now TAUSEEF, the people, some analysts in America, they already started questioning this decision, and they believe that it's going to help China. Or why? Because the China will fill the void, because $43 billion is not a big amount for the countries like China.
Yes and no at the same time. USAID is the biggest donor agency in the world right now, and I think it is not easy for anyone to fill that void at the moment. And also it is about the ideology that you have as well. All the things that USAID was focusing on, health, education, and just so many other developmental projects. I think it is actually hard for other countries to fill that void. It's not that easy.
All right, all right. And one more thing. Americans, they complain that we do a lot for the developing countries, but at the same time, there is a lot of anti-Americanism in those countries. The people, they don't like American people or the American administration. They have so many negative thoughts about them. So after the suspension of this, all these projects, do you think that these sentiments would grow more, or the people would think, more negatively against the American?
I guess so. But at the same time, I think when you look at the US, they're causing a lot of problems as well, right? While after solving them, or like acting like they're trying to solve the issues for the people. So I think those sentiments are very justified. But at the same time, I think US was trying to help the people out or change the image of the people by helping them out in different ways. So I think that is going to change, because even right now, when this freeze was imposed, the humanitarian programs were exempted from it, right? So I think they want to like divert their focus on only like a few programs, and they don't want to focus on all the other programs that were being focused on before by USAID. For instance, there was the Trump administration reported that they were providing $1.5 million in Serbia to support LGBTQI programs. They don't think that is something that USAID should be focusing on. So I think it is not easy for you to foresee what would be the sentiments of the, what sentiments would people have regarding this policy, because right now you don't know exactly what they would be focusing on after this 90-day period. So I think a new policy would come in place, and they also right now want to merge this with the State Department. They don't want to just abolish it, they want to have it under another State Department and not as a independent agency. So right now we don't really know the fate of it, right? There is a period for review right now.
All right. Okay. Dr. Ayesha, so USAID apart, but aside, what is going to be the relationship between Pakistan and the United States under this second term of, or second tenure of President Trump? Because he's known for taking some tough and abrupt decisions. I don't know if he consults his advisors, but he's known for this fact.
He is known for two things. One is that he is a deal maker, not a peacemaker, and the other is he is unpredictable. You don't know what he is going to decide. But as far as the Pakistan and America's relations is concerned, it's a kind of love-hate relation throughout the history, and they are in the need of each other, but they don't agree with that. And however, once we look into the relation under the Trump era, so it's more of a Pakistan is going to lose that trust between America, because obviously America is is not ready to provide that funding and so many other kind of assistance that is based on the humanitarian basis and human rights and education, energy, and counter terrorism most importantly. So that's going to make Pakistan to look for other options. And as you were saying that China is there as well, Russia is there as well, but they are not going to fulfill that void in that specific manner that America has been doing. So yes, it's going to be a really difficult situation.
If you just give me a second, Anwar IQBAL Saab joined us again. Anwar IQBAL Saab, I was asking you a question. Would you agree with some experts and analysts in the United States of America that other countries, especially the countries like China, they might fill the void being left by the United States of America in terms of these humanitarian aid across the globe?
Yeah, that's a strong possibility, but I think Americans believe that China is big and China is strong and China does have a lot of money, but not enough to fill this void. The world will still need U.S. assistance, and that's what they're depending on. If China does that, then it will be a different ball game. But the American assessment is that they are still far ahead of China, at least in providing aid to other countries. Previously, while we were having this discussion, I think it was NEHA or somebody else who mentioned that there were always strings attached to this aid. Of course, there were, and I totally agree with her. And she said that they had a liberal agenda promoting democracy, capitalism, etc. I agree with her on that too. The thing is that this administration does not believe in some of those ideals. I mean, they said, Trump has said so many times that we shouldn't bother about whether other countries.
Tell me one thing, sir. Tell me one thing. I mean, you have seen several U.S. presidents since your stay in the United States of America. Is it going to be a roller coaster ride for the next 4 years for the American people and American politicians, especially the Democrats?
No, hold on. I mean, I think what will happen is he will try to do as much as he can in the next 2 years. Then after 2 years, we will have congressional elections. And I think the way he is going, it will unite the liberal forces in the United States. And I think that liberals, or at least Democrats, may regain
midterm elections.
And
Interesting.
Policy. You have to implement as much of his policies as he can.
Okay, sir. Okay. Would you like to add something to it?
Not actually, but yes, he is right that it's very, very difficult for China to fill the void because, America has got so many other things to propagate, and they were for the international good. And, America has gained a lot of advantages and the leverage on the basis of these aids. We have seen that the presence of America to take the strategic, interest from all those 100 plus states where it was providing funding, and then, most of the time America was providing these fundings to those states where it was difficult to intervene in a military way. So yeah, America, this funding was more for the benefit of America itself, and they are going to see it in the future.
Okay, but if we look at the American policy towards Middle East, it's totally different what they say and what they do. Like President Trump, at one hand, he's saying that we are, we are not going to be involved in any, in conflict outside American boundaries. But at the same time, he's talking about taking over Gaza and what his policy. So I don't know why this dichotomy in his statements.
I mean, he's very unpredictable, and you don't know most of the times why he's saying the things that he's saying.
But he's the president.
He is the president. We always knew that our world would get collapsed because of stupid people, but like we didn't know like they were going to be this stupid. And you have that example all around the world now.
No, but the thing is, when they say that we are not getting involved in any conflict outside America, and we are not going to, support any country to solve the mess they already created, not once but twice. Take Afghanistan, for example. Yeah. So how you would talk to administration like this? How do you convince them that this is your mess and you have to, help us to at least, clear this mess? And
at the same time, you're making contradictory statements, right?
Yeah.
At one point, you're like, we don't want to be involved in that, and at the same time, you want to take over what Israel was doing before. So yeah. You can't really justify what Trump says, and you can't really have a reason behind it because it doesn't really make any sense most of the times.
So is it difficult to deal with such administration? I mean, as far as Pakistan is concerned, or no?
I'm sure, because you can't rely on them, and even like that's happening all around the world right now. When you have been working on a few projects for years, and you're working through USAID for years, for more than like 60 years or something, and you want to dismantle the entire agency, you want to stop all the programs. That makes you very unreliable, and I think it makes it very hard for you to work with such administration or a country. To be more particular.
You mentioned earlier that Pakistan and the United States of America, they have love-hate relationship. Why? I mean, why can't we have stable, economic and diplomatic relationship with each other? What are the hindrances?
That's a $1 million question. We should ask them about it. But the thing is, as an IR expert, we always look into the state interest. So wherever there is a convergence of interest between these two states, America and the US, so definitely they are always working together. We have seen that how the Afghan war and later on the war on terror.
No, but Afghanistan should not or could not be the only place where our interests converge.
Yeah. Yes, in an ideal state it should be like that, but it's not. Unfortunately, we are living in a state where states are looking after their selfish interests. For the selfish interests, wherever there is the convergence, and unfortunately, in South Asia, America has got the only faithful friend, that is Pakistan, and they should keep this in mind. They cannot look for India because they are not there for them. And Pakistan is taking care of America's interest whenever there is Pakistan's convergence of interest in that region. So, and when there is not, then they left, they didn't do anything. We have seen that for 18 years, they had that war on terror, and later on, they had the deal with those terrorists, and they gave the country, hand over the country to them, and they left. And we have seen that, that the kind of mess they created, and we are facing the heat, and we are the TTP and all that, the mess we are taking care of.
But they are not accepting this fact. Yes. And how can you make superpower accept the fact or accept the mistakes they made in the past and to rectify those mistakes? I mean, they are not going to do it.
No, they are not.
So how can we make them believe that this is your mess and you have to help us to clear it? How can we do it?
Yeah, you are right. And you know, you were talking about the Middle East and you know why their policies are different over there and why not for the rest of the world. So there is something again called the state interest and they put the sanction on the ICC just because they declared Netanyahu as a war criminal. Yeah, and that's how they are even fighting with the international order as well, just because you know their ally or their national interest is being harmed, and that is the reason they are taking care of their interest in Middle East, but they are not worried for the rest of the world just because they don't feel that it's in their national interest. But remember one thing, when America should not be worried about something that okay, we cannot you know keep the funding of the USAID for the rest of the world, but America should be worried about this thing, that if they walk away from here, that who is going to fill the void then, and definitely some states are going to come. We are living in a multilateral world, although not in that enthusiasm and in that huge bulk of aid China would come or Russia, but definitely they are going to make things better for the rest of the state. So yes, I have seen America, Russian and Chinese presence in a very good way in Pakistan. So in this region where there is three nuclear powers sitting and America wants to leave from here, so who is going to come and take care of all these states? So definitely rest of the world.
Yeah, but it was the international court that you know sentenced and executed President Milosevic of Serbia, and those were the Americans who came for the help of the Bosnian people. But should we say that this is the President Trump's ideology, thinking and policy, not the American administration's policy, or not what the American people believe in and they used to believe in the past? What do you think?
Yeah, like if you look at the US Constitution, you have a lot of fundamental rights which directly go against what Trump is doing right now. Even when he was trying to impose a Muslim ban, that is the challenge which he faced, and this is the challenge that he would face in the future as well, because that is probably not the ideology of the US, and if you look at the Constitution only. So yes, and like all of these actions would be challenged in court later on because you have that protection under the Constitution.
But how responsible and appropriate it is for the country like America to impose restriction on the officials of the International Court? I mean, you have seen the news that they impose a restriction, the travel ban and the visa ban, so on.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate? I mean, you are basically diminishing the authority and eroding the credibility of an international court. Made some very good decisions in the past.
Yeah, definitely. But when you look at the international law as well, it is a means to like control people and control other states. You would never notice these international courts actually sentencing people who need to be convicted. You only see what these countries are trying to do, whatever they're trying to propagate. That is what you see by the international courts as well. So I think international courts in its own is also a means to control these other countries, these developmental countries.
So I mean, now we are going to enter in an era. Would you agree that realpolitik is going to be implemented in a very hardcore way?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And along with that, I often say that we are facing two Cold War right now instead of one. And we are facing a multilateral world, and and the states with their selfish interests, they are taking care of their interests, and they are trying to and they are actually violating international order as well. That order that they should be respecting along with America. And although America should be, America used to say that I'm a benevolent state and I'm a state that the superpower, everybody should follow my lead. But there is no state we should be leading now, because America itself is violating all the laws. As far as the USAID is concerned, as my colleague was saying, that still this executive order is in halt. You know that a federal judge has put an halt on it.
Exactly.
And because
for
this,
a week,
yes, for a week, and because it's a congressional approval is required for that. So yes, we can say that international order, international sanity would prevail, and after some time they would approve this USAID and the other the funding for WHO and their restriction for ICC. They are going to revoke it, but still. That's I would say that it's again a hope and the wishes that we should be looking towards, but
okay.
Things are really difficult.
So lastly, I mean, all these projects, the 39 projects, I mentioned just a few, that health supply chain, scholarships, inclusive democracy program, governance program, and ex-FATA, private investment initiative, Mangla Dam rehabilitation. So all these projects, they are very important to the people of Pakistan. Fine, there is no USAID funding. Now, the government of Pakistan, we, the Pakistani, we should be looking for the alternatives, or we should, you know, start generating funds with our own resources. What should we supposed to do?
So here comes the policymakers of the Pakistan. We have got very good people as a policymakers in Pakistan, and the same question is also being asked in Africa as well, where the people, African people, they are those who are going to be affected more than Pakistan. And you know, they are what they are talking about. They are saying, oh, okay, it's a blessing in disguise. Let's work for our own state instead of looking for these kind of you know, support. So similar thing we can apply on Pakistan as well, that we should look for the policies, and which we should look for the support from the outside and from within, and we have got all the guts to fulfill it. And there is another thing I want to add, Shahzad, and that is that even you know, there are some protests going on in Washington as well, because around 40,000 people, those who were working in USAID, they are obviously are jobless now, and from out of them there are probably 930 people that are registered in their state government agenda.
Their plan is to reduce the number of
Yes.
USAID staffers to 300 only. I mean, this is exactly the plan. But Neha, Tauseef, finally, same question to you, that how and why shouldn't we be looking for some alternatives to, you know, support these programs? I mean, these are very good programs, and for the benefits of the Pakistani people.
I think I agree with my colleague. I think we need to start looking within. We need to focus on our policies and start actually implementing things. Even when you look at, like, when you're getting aid from different countries, you're not actually focusing on the actual problem. You just want to get funding, and you don't actually end up solving the issue which is there. So I think when you focus on your own policies, and when you actually start focusing on the issues and the problems, you can actually start finding solutions for those, and maybe you can have effective policies which could work, because you're actually focusing on the issue at hand.
And ideally, we should not be relying on any other foreign sources of funding, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
No.
You want to say something?
I think on an equality basis, there should be support as well. There should be mutual collaboration, and you know, there should be on a one-on-one basis on equality.
Self-sufficient.
Yes, self-sufficient, and we can, but still we cannot live in
cater to the
isolation.
needs and demands of your own people, of course.
Yes, but we cannot live in isolation. We are in an international order. We are
you
living
help each other,
collectively.
but
Yes.
not look for the grants and funding.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
you can get the help, but you shouldn't solely rely on that.
Yes.
So, of course. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayesha Bhatti, for joining us. Neha, Tauseef, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching the program. Good night and Khuda Hafiz.